All right, so I think we're live in most of the places. We'll see if it's actually going to pick up the one. Hold on, let's see here. No, it's not picking that one up. That's fine. I can just go do it the other way because technology is technology and whatever sometimes, man. So here we are today interviewing McKenna Dodge, and I'm super excited for her to be here because she is absolutely amazing. McKenna's superpower is clarity in chaos, right? Like she helps you get out of your head and simplify your message and really help building a brand that connects with people, right? Like that's one of the things I absolutely love about McKenna. If you check out her content, like it's actual storytelling about her life and like you actually get to know her, it's pretty rad. So McKenna, like tell the audience a little bit about you and why you do what you do, because you're amazing.
Thank you. Yeah. So, hey, everybody. My name is McKenna Dodge. I'm at Thirsty for Abundance on Instagram or McKenna Dodge over on Facebook. And I am a multidimensional, multi-passionate entrepreneur. I work in the high-ticket affiliate marketing space and in water wellness education, as well as running a branding agency, which is kind of the highlight for today with my business bestie, Carissa. And really, we focus on empowering online entrepreneurs to really break out of the mold on what personal branding should be or look like, and really create a brand that's in the full embodiment of your deepest values and beliefs and really your truest, most authentic self, your mission, your voice. And our goal is really centered around changing the landscape of online business, especially in the social media space, to help more heart-led women entrepreneurs to find fulfillment and purpose and passion in their brands rather than like working their asses off for a business they don't love, getting stuck in the weeds, lost in the sauce of like the perfect social media content strategy or fucking whatever, and like actually rooting into you and your brand, which also involves a lot of shifting the understanding of how most people stereotypically assume branding is or does or what purpose that serves.
Yeah, because I know what a lot of people think of when they think of branding, right? We're thinking like the color palette and the graphics and like, oh, we got to have like the Canva templates so that everything, the aesthetic is consistent.
Yeah.
And I know that is like the antithesis. Like you feel very strongly about that.
Yes, very much so. So when I think of branding, just to kind of like get everyone on the same page here, the way that we define branding at Unbound Branding Agency is that branding isn't something you do or have. At no point have you done your brand or you have your brand, because it's not a color palette, it's not a set of fonts, it's not your logo. Branding is the living, breathing embodiment of who you are, what you value and believe, your story and experiences that brought you here, and the impact that you create in the world through your brand and through your offers. And so where a lot of people go, oh yeah, I have my brand. I like picked out, a color palette on Pinterest and I made a logo on Canva. That's kind of like if you were to think of your brand as a great oak tree, right? We got the roots down underneath, this big, massive trunk to support the limbs of impact and income that you're creating in your brand. When people say, oh, I have a brand, I've done my logo, that's kind of like picking a flower or a leaf off of the tree and being like, I have a tree. And it's like, you have a leaf. Like, yes, you have one component of that brand, but ultimately your brand visuals and your brand aesthetic, if you will, is meant to be representative of the larger movement that you're creating, what you teach, why it's so important, all of the elements that make up your brand. So if you've done your brand visuals, but haven't done the deeper work, what the fuck are your visuals actually representing besides a color palette you picked on Pinterest and a Canva template graphic logo that you made? It's not actually representing anything. And so when we get into branding and coming back to that like oak tree analogy, it's how do we, instead of starting at the top of the tree and like picking off a leaf, like how do we actually grow a really strong, impactful brand, a strong, impactful tree from the roots up?
Like, that's so important, because whether or not your stuff is pretty, it's really important that your audience understands what you're saying with your written word, with what it is that you're offering, what you're communicating out to them. And it's so important, right? Like, especially rocking, living here in that neurodivergent life, right? Like, the words you use absolutely change what you say to your clients.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so important to be able to have that together, so that this way the point of what you're trying to say is come across, not
Mm-hmm.
just the words that the specific words that you use, the whole vibe, the energy, the emotions you're trying to evict, and the context is received.
Yeah, very much so. It's less about how is my brand seen and more about how is my brand felt and experienced. So kind of, probably every entrepreneur in the world, or even a lot of people for that matter, have heard the concept. I think it's a Maya Angelou quote, if I recall correctly. I might be misattributing, but I think it's Maya Angelou. But she talks about people don't remember what you say, they remember how you make them feel.
Ooh, that is so real.
The same is true in your brand. People don't remember what your brand looked like, right? What the perfect hex code shade of green was. They don't give a shit. What they care about is why you do what you do, why it's going to serve them, why it matters to them, and that you see and understand where they are, what they're going through, and you have a plan to help them transform their life in whatever capacity that looks like. And this, we tend to work with a lot of network and affiliate marketers and coaches, but this is applicable. Your brand is applicable no matter what industry you're in, no matter what your growth strategy is, if you're organic, social, if you're paid ads and funnels, even if you're growing offline, because your brand is the foundation of who you are, what you do, why you do it, and why it's so life-changing for your clients. So ultimately, most people make the mistake of going, oh, well, I need marketing training, or, oh, I need sales training. But those things build on your brand. If you don't have your brand, it's kind of like trying to build a house without pouring the foundation first. Like, yeah, you can, but your house is going to be a little off kilter. It's going to start sinking into the dirt underneath it. Like, it's not going to be a fun time all the way around. But most of us don't realize that, myself included, when I got started in this space. Most of us don't realize that. And we go for the flashy stuff. We go for the visuals. We go for, every guru on the freaking planet that's like, you have to be on this platform, or you have to be on this channel, or this is old and dead and nobody's growing on Facebook anymore. And you have to be here or there or everywhere. And like, everyone has this, one thing that they're promoting as like the answer. Ultimately, all strategies, all platforms work. It's not about what is the right one. It's about what's the right one for you. And that is sourced out of your brand, not out of anything else.
I love that, because that's so true. Any of these strategies can work. It just depends upon your business, who you are, what you're willing to do, right? Yeah. Like, because organic isn't for the faint of heart. Like that takes like real work. Like, you got to show up. Like, it don't matter if you got the feels. Like, if you don't show up, your work ain't happening.
Well, and that's also true even in like the paid content space. So if you're thinking about like ads and funnels, what good does it do you to have all these fancy funnels if you don't have anybody to actually put in the top of the funnel? It's like having a gumball machine with no gumballs. You're going to spin the little dial, but there's nothing to pop out of there at the bottom anyway. And even with your paid traffic, like the way that I see like the organic versus paid argument, if you will, is that when you approach your traffic, your lead generation from a place of branding, your branding is the foundation of all of it. It's the messaging, it's the identity, it's why someone wants to work with you. When we approach our messaging from that perspective, the only difference between organic versus paid traffic is, are you working for the visibility in terms of like on Facebook, for example, are you networking in groups? Are you sending friend requests? Are you expanding your network? Are you having conversations, right? That's an organic strategy. Your visibility comes from your engagement and interaction with others on the platform versus a paid strategy. It's still work. It's just that your work is in learning your targeting strategy to make sure you're getting in front of the right people. But basically, you're paying for visibility or you're working organically for visibility. But ultimately, your brand is the foundation of all of it. Because if a lot of people, especially like in some of my direct sales experience, high ticket affiliate marketing, a lot of people go into paid ads and they're like, yeah, I don't have any brand or marketing or messaging experience, but I'm going to go learn how to run ads. And they create an ad and they create a funnel and it's great and all, but like they don't know how to write copy. They don't know how to share authentically. They don't know how to root into their brand because they haven't figured out what that looks like. So not to say that they're creating garbage content, but ultimately, if you can't create really well branded, well rooted into your brand content, it doesn't matter if you're paying for visibility because putting garbage in front of more people is still garbage. Like, to say it like super bluntly, like it doesn't matter if you're paying for the traffic. If your brand foundation isn't there, like, bitch, what the fuck are your visuals representing anyway, if your brand isn't there? And secondly, no matter what strategy or growth platform or channel that you decide to use, email marketing, different social media platforms, offline building, whatever, if your brand isn't there, the rest of it is going to fall short because there's not that solid foundation to build on. When you build that solid foundation, you can go to any platform, marketing channel, online, offline, upside down line, go to fucking Mars. I don't care. Like, when you have that brand foundation, that's what everything else builds on. But it's the one thing that just about everyone skips in favor of the flashy stuff.
And that's so true, because as you scale, right, like ultimately you want to replace yourself with somebody else, right? Mm-hmm. So if you don't have these foundations in place, if you're not able to explain to somebody else why you're saying what you're saying and the whole point of what you're doing, mm-hmm. right? And trust me, as this is a very frustrating point for my own self, right? Like, you need that, right? That you can't replace yourself if you can't communicate what it is that you're trying to communicate.
And that's where so many people, especially when they get into scaling, get stuck, is because when we're a solopreneur, like, we just do the thing. Like, it's simpler for us to embody our brand without really having to think about it. Because if mm-hmm. we think of our brand as this living, breathing embodiment of who we are, what we value and believe, our story and experiences that brought us here, and the impact we desire to create in the world through our offers, even without necessarily being able to articulate those things, you're putting off a personal brand. Even if you can't describe what it is, people, like, kind of like you're the one in the bottle, the people on the outside of the bottle can read the label. Like, even if you're like, oh my gosh, I don't have a personal brand. Actually, you do. Whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're working a day job, everyone has a personal brand that you are selling. So if you think of like a corporate person going to like apply for a job, they are selling their personal brand. They're selling their experiences. They're selling their story. They're selling why they would be a good fit for this job, right? So kind of like a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, sales. And they use this analogy for sales. It's relevant for branding too, because you're selling your personal brand, why you would be of value, your beliefs that are in alignment with that company. So when we're kind of coming back to the entrepreneurship space, when we're a solopreneur, we're living our brand, or at least bits and pieces of it, even if we can't articulate what it is. It's kind of like the writing on our forehead, right? Everyone else can see it, even if we don't know what it says up there.
Yeah.
The challenge is when you go to scale, when you go to bring on other team members, when you go to, 1099 some contractors, right? You're like, oh, I need someone to build my website. And they're like, amazing. Tell me about your brand. And you're like, I sell unicorn farts. Like, and they're like, cool, that doesn't give me anything to create copy with. Like, and if you can't articulate these foundations of your brand, your values, your industry convictions, your differentiators, what makes you stand out in the space, because A, you do it differently, B, you see it differently, and C, you've walked a different path that gives you a unique lens through which you approach whatever the transformation is that you offer for your clients. Your clients aren't paying you for your product or your service. They're paying you for the transformation that that product or service provides by working with you specifically, your company, your agency, your coaching program, your whatever. And so where people get stuck when they go to try to scale is if you haven't actually identified these things and can clearly articulate them to communicate them to someone else, then you get a disconnect within the team or with the new contractor or employee because they're trying to learn something from you that you can't articulate yourself. So how are they supposed to be able to replicate or embody your brand in whatever their particular forte or gift or role is if you can't actually tell them what that is? It's like trying to tell someone like, okay, go bake a cake, but you can't actually give them the recipe. Like they can sort of kind of guesstimate based off of cakes that they've made before, but it's not going to be your cake.
You never know. It could be salt instead of sugar. It looks the same. Could be the same.
Yes.
Right. So I know one of your big things is creating the calm out of the chaos, right? So what's like the most chaotic brand message you've ever had to untangle?
Ooh, that's an interesting question. So because we work with a lot of network marketers, especially in Unbound Branding Agency, and a lot of people with multiple income streams, right? Maybe they started in network marketing and they have multiple, different companies that they've affiliated
like you do.
with.
I'm like that. You're not a real network marketer till you have at least 5 businesses, right? You gotta have you like Pokemon. You gotta I need for
that. Collect them all.
Right.
Yes. So we work in that space. And then a lot of people also who started in network marketing and then decided that they wanted to do something more with it. They wanted to create something of their own. And so they kind of branched into the coaching space, and they still use and recommend their products, but they kind of have this hybrid. So with that realm, I don't know that there's necessarily a single brand where I'm like, oh my God, that was the most chaotic thing I've ever done. Because all of our clients come to us with, I almost think of it like a giant ball of, 18 different colors of yarn. And this can be different, even with somebody who has a single income stream, but they have like 18 different micro offers that they're trying to communicate, or somebody who has, 6 different MLMs that they're representing, and they're trying to figure out like, what the fuck do I do with this? And so one of my gifts, so like I said, I work with my partner in crime, my business bestie, the jelly to my peanut butter, Carissa, here in Unbound Branding Agency, is very much the dynamic duo, if you will. So my gift in that is, I couldn't describe it any better than seeing the Matrix. So what my gift is asking questions and helping to pull out the elements of whoever it is that I'm working with, pulling out the elements of their brand. And because we believe that it is not our job to tell you what your brand is, our job is to be the reflection of the brand you already have, but decided wasn't worthy, decided that you couldn't show up with that, decided it was too much or not enough or whatever, and downplayed your own magic, muted your own microphone, and then we're wondering, well, why can't people hear me? Well, bitch, you muted your microphone. Like, let us help you see the magic you already have. So in that vein, my gift is really focused in listening to all of everything that someone is saying. Here's all the different colors of yarn that they have in this particular ball. And they're like, it's like this. And if you turn it this way, there's this other color, and you turn it this way, and there's this other color. And like, what the fuck do I do with all of this? My gift is being like, okay, amazing. So I heard you say this, and it's like pulling, for those of you who don't have a video to this particular recording here, it's like pulling a single thread of a single color of yarn and pulling it out and being like, okay, here is one piece of this. And then, oh, here's this other end of this piece of yarn that's a different color. Oh, and here's this, and kind of separating it. And it's not about necessarily like, how do we promote 18 million offers? The beautiful part about this with branding is that your brand is the overall transformation that you offer And we think of the offers that you have as tools in your tool belt to helping your clients achieve that particular transformation. And so when we talk about like, finding clarity out of the chaos, it's a lot of, which I love that description, by the way. I don't know where you got that, but I freaking loved it. So when we talk about like finding clarity in the chaos, it's a lot of how do we take all of the different elements of who somebody is, what they value, their beliefs, their story, their experiences, why they do what they do, the 18 million offers that they have, and be like, what is the common golden thread that ties together all of these different things, all of the offers that you have, why you do what you do, the mission that you have that is so much deeper than just the products that you sell on the internet or on offline or like whatever, right? Your vendor shows, whatever your growth strategy is. What is the golden thread that ties together all of these different pieces of things into one cohesive brand, not one offer, not one selling point, but one brand that focuses on the transformation you offer your clients. And then your offers are the different components that support that, almost thinking like your transformation is like the roof of the house. And the offers are all of the different ways that you could get into that house, the windows, the doors, right? The walls that support it, right? We kind of think of those as like your brand pillars, if you will, or the walls. And so all of these things together support the overall transformation or the movement that you are creating in your space, in your industry, wherever your little corner of social media is. And so when we look at, all of these like chaotic, if you will, brands of like, well, what the fuck do we do with all of these? It's a lot of like, okay, so what of these things, what ties together? What's the common thread that pulls all of these things together? Why you do what you do, why you aligned with these offers, didn't align with those offers, why you decided to add this in or take that out. And how do these all play together into the ultimate transformation that you offer for your clients? And so I don't know that there's necessarily like a brand that was like, oh my God, it's so chaotic, because really everyone comes with a lot of shit. Like one of our clients, Robin, who's fucking phenomenal life coach, she came in and she's like, I have this pile of shit and I don't know what to do with it. And there's elements to it. And what do I do? And we did the same thing with her that we do with all of our other clients. It's like, okay, help us understand these underlying roots of your brand, of all of this, more so the why than the what. And in that, we get to pull out your brand roots and your messaging and the core identity of what you stand for and why you do the things that you do. And from there can determine, okay, so what's the best marketing channel for you based on your communication strengths? How do we show up? How do we create content? What could that look like? What different channels or modalities do you want to create in? But it's all rooted in that underlying brand.
And I know your journey has been, as with all entrepreneurs, it's never a straight line, right? So you've gone from showing up under one brand and struggling to show up, then building an entire business that reflects your truth, that empowers you to show up.
Yeah.
So, like, what advice would you have for like a woman who's sitting on brilliance yet afraid to be visible? Yeah, I'm getting juicy in it.
There's actually a model that we use within the branding agency, and we call it the muted microphone. And the muted microphone is essentially when, like, to say it bluntly, that we start to doubt our own message. We start to doubt our own voice. And a lot of people are like feeling like I need inspiration to show up because my content isn't good enough. Like I need to find other people who I can emulate, or feeling like I have to show up with what my audience wants to see rather than what I actually want to say, or being worried about what others might think or judge, or not wanting to be too polarizing because you might push people away, or On the other side of that, I don't want to be too confident and seem like I'm not humble or like I'm bragging or those kinds of things, or worrying that you don't compare with other people who've been in your industry longer, have more experience, et cetera, feeling like the imposter syndrome of who am I to show up in this way, or feeling like what I want to say isn't what I should say because it's not what other leaders in my industry are saying, or it goes against the grain, or even feeling like, not even comparing yourself to other people, but like you, feeling like the message on your heart is different than it's been before because you've evolved as a person, as an entrepreneur, as a leader, but you're hesitant to share the new message and the new direction you want to go because people know you for this other thing back here. And you start to feel pigeonholed into who you've been and where you've been before, the services that you've offered before that got you to the level of success that you have now, but you're feeling called in a different direction. So all of these, Carissa and I refer to as mute buttons in your business. When we feel like I want to show up, I want to be seen, I want to express myself, I want to change lives through my impact streams, I want to create significant income from the transformation that I offer and get paid my worth. And we say we want all of these things, but then we're like, oh, but what might others think? Or, oh, well, my message might be too much. I might be too much for someone. I might be too spicy or too neurodivergent or too neurotypical or too boring or whatever, that we decide that we can't show up. Carissa and I refer to these as mute buttons. And it's kind of like slamming the gas while pumping the brakes at the same time. In that you're trying to show up, but you keep stopping yourself from showing up completely. You dim your light, you mute your own microphone, and then wonder why people can't hear you. Or wonder why some people can kind of hear you, but it's almost like you're attracting in not quite your ideal clients. You're like, why are these people attracted to this messaging? And it's because they're the ones closest that can hear you, even though your microphone is muted. And so the way that we really work through this is learning to trust your own voice. And one thing that we hear a lot is like, especially from our clients that we work with, when they start working with us, they're like feeling like they have a content problem. What's a marketing problem? Or like, I need inspiration. What if you don't? What if it's not that you have a content problem or a marketing problem, or that you need inspiration, or you need somebody to tell you how to do it? Maybe it's just that you don't trust your own voice enough to share the message that's actually on your heart without filtering it, dimming it, or downplaying it.
Wow. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I feel called out right now. Like that, you getting deep on this stuff today, man. So that is so powerful. I seriously, anyone who's listening to this, like, you got to be resonating with this, because this is just getting chills. But there's a lot of different ways to connect with McKenna. But one of the things I wanted to check in with you on, McKenna, is because one of the things I hear from a lot of people is that, on top of this, they have to use different technology, and that tech can be an overwhelm, and a silencer, tech can be its own mute button, right? Yeah. So you've navigated all sorts of different tools out there. And like, I know one of the things that's been really helpful for you is that you love systems, right?
Yeah. My before I got into entrepreneurship, network marketing, the foray into affiliate marketing and branding, my prior career was actually in tech support before I retired.
I love that. So like, how did having a system help you? Like, when you're starting to deal with the technology of all the things, right? Almost like, and this goes to basically anything, like having a checklist, like having a process that you follow, right? And that really takes a lot of the stress out of it when you're trying something new, right? So especially for anyone that's listening out there and you're wanting to try something new, you don't let the tech of it all overwhelm you, because you can definitely overcome that. Sorry, I forgot where I was going with that. So And I know community is a huge thing for you, right? Within your brand. So like what role has community played in your brand's growth?
So to kind of answer the first kind of direction that you were going in terms of like technology and how that supports a brand, I think the first thought that came to mind there is that your technology in the beginning isn't meant to be a replacement for you. And let me explain this because it kind of goes against like the common, like, do the technology and the automation so you don't have to, right? Now, when we're first starting out, our technology, our systems, our SaaS, our, Nerdly system, for example, it's not meant to replace you. It's meant to support you so that the technology can handle the things that can be automated so that you can prioritize going out and being you, whether that is, creating the content, getting the clients, doing the sales calls, whatever your gift is. The technology is meant to support your brand, not replace your brand. The technology is built, or your systems, your software, your automations, etc., are built to be supportive of furthering your brand, not as a replacement for it. And then in the kind of second line of thinking there, in the communications or community side of thing, a lot of, like when I talk about branding, right? This living, breathing embodiment, who you are, you value your stories, the impact you create in the world. It's less about what people see and more about how people feel and experience your brand within whatever communities that you're in, whatever your marketing channels are, whatever your platform of choice is. Part of building a really powerful brand is that you become known for something in your community. You become known for the movement that you're creating, the transformation that you offer. And so part of building that community is helping people. It's serving people through your brand, in alignment with your brand. And this doesn't mean you have to make 5 million lead magnets or like give all your shit away for free. That's not what I'm saying. It's how can you help the people in your audience to take one step closer to the transformation that they're looking for, the transformation that you offer. How can you help people and serve people on their way to becoming your client? Most people think of like your customer journey as starting after someone has given you their credit card. When we're talking about community, when we're talking about branding, it is how is your brand lived and experienced and felt even before somebody hands you a credit card or their email address. How are you cultivating transformation for them, helping them to take steps towards their transformation? How are you making them the hero of their own journey? To quote George Bryant, one of my mentors, he's fucking amazing. He talks about how do you help them become the hero of their own journey while helping to cultivate them into your ideal client because you're helping them take the steps that they need for their transformation and also to be ready to work with you at the same time. And through this, we're supporting people, we're serving people, we're building community. We're also becoming known for the transformation that we offer, which then means that when people are ready to take that next step, they're like, okay, I've taken the first couple of steps. I'm ready to actually go hike the mountain now. You're like, amazing. I got you. I can guide you up this mountain.
Right? It's so true. Like people are they always bring up like talking about your ideal customer, right? Mm-hmm. Versus what they should be doing is connecting with their actual customers, right? Mm-hmm. Like who are the people they are actually serving? Mm-hmm. So I know where we were yet. So I know you guys have a call that you guys offer, right, to connect with you. Can you tell us a little bit about what it's like to work with you and Unbound Branding?
Yeah, absolutely. So the call that you were referring to, we actually offer a free brand assessment. So when we're talking about branding, there's really 3 elements of your brand. And if we come back to that, like great oak tree, for example, as the representation of your brand, you've got the brand roots, which is a lot of the core of who you are, what you value, your experiences, your mission in the industry. You have the trunk of that tree, which is really your alignment and direction. It's how your brand kind of bridges the gap between all of the internal work, right? Everything that happens under the surface, and bridges that into, okay, so how are we going to communicate that out with our audience? What does that look like? Who's our ideal client? What is the platform or marketing channel? This gets a lot into your brand pillars and things like that. And then the top of the tree, the branches, if you will, the leaves, the visual aesthetic is a very small part of that, obviously. That's your brand embodiment, right? This is how you actually show up. And so like when we talk about the muted microphone, this is the biggest mistake that people make in that embodiment segment. So 3 elements to this. Our brand assessment is basically a way for entrepreneurs to meet with us and run through a short assessment of their brand in each of those 3 categories. And this is relevant whether you are brand new and having realizations of like, oh my gosh, I've never actually built my personal brand before. You know, I've had offers, I've had a business, but I never built a brand necessarily. Or this is also relevant. We have a expanded version of this assessment that is relevant for entrepreneurs who are like, yeah, I've built a brand before, but something feels off. It feels like I've outgrown my brand and something is disconnected. It doesn't feel as fire fueled as it did before, but I don't know what's off or what to fix about it. So what Carissa and I offer is this brand assessment where you can actually jump on a live call with us. It's completely free. And we'll walk you through a self-assessment and we get to figure out where in your brand roots, where in the trunk of your brand, and where in your brand embodiment are there perhaps gaps that could be filled? Where do things either need to be built for the first time, or where do they need to be perhaps revisited in the case of an existing brand to help pull things back into alignment, to elevate your brand to match your personal level of expansion and growth as an entrepreneur, as a leader in your space, as a, amazing, powerful, badass coach, consultant, or product, consultant that you are. Like, how do we make sure that the brand that you are embodying online or in your marketing channels is a full embodiment of who you are now, not who you were 5 years ago when you started your business? So this assessment gets to be really figuring out, like, where are the blind spots in my brand that I have the opportunity to visit, to address, in whatever that looks like for you, and by extension to elevate that brand to match your frequency, your level of who you are, the value that you create for your clients, the transformation that you offer, and why the fuck someone wants to work with someone as amazing as you.
I love that. That's so important, especially as an entrepreneur, and you're going at it for a while. It's not every day. Like, sometimes you have to stop and kind of take stock and look at what is going on, because you're so busy in the day-to-day working in your business or on your business. A lot of times the brand can evolve without you even realizing, oh, we're doing something completely different now, right? Case in point, right? Like we, when we started out with Nerdly, we were just like, hey, we could do some little bitty tech support stuff. And, now it evolves to building out SaaS companies and agencies. And yeah, it's real easy to, out of nowhere, you're like, oh, we're doing something very different now. Oh boy.
Yeah, right? You are. And speaking of Nerdly too, like, we're super excited because this brand assessment, it's currently a live call with us. We're excited because we're starting to play with the quizzes feature to actually build out this brand assessment as like a self-serve thing. We're not quite there yet. We're building all the stuff, but Nerdly is a key part of that.
I love the quizzes. They are so powerful, right? Because there's always multiple ways you can talk to a client, right? There's different, just like you were saying, there's different windows, right? There's different windows into the house. And just because you don't need this window over here, where you're like, oh, this window is really pretty, I like this window, right? It's still, we're getting them into the house and being able to identify, all right, which one of these is going to work? Which one resonates with you the most right now? Right. And then being able to know, like, what is that journey look like, right? Like, what is because it's all about the experience, right?
Yeah.
It's how do I want them to experience moving forward, right? And you just kill it when you build customer journeys. You do next level stuff. It's pretty awesome seeing how you take care of your folks. So where can people find you, follow you, and fangirl over your work?
I mean, I'm not much of a fangirl myself. Like the one exception being my current mentor, George Bryant. I saw him the first time. He specializes in customer journey. And I was like, oh my God, Carissa, like I don't fangirl, but like, holy shit, there's this guy. It was great. It was great. So other than that, I primarily grow on Facebook and a little bit of Instagram, venturing into that and being more intentional about that. On Instagram, I am at Thirsty for Abundance. You can find me at McKenna Dodge on Facebook. Look for the gal with the red hair, the blue bottle. It's water, I promise. That's a whole other conversation around water wellness and things. But anyway, yeah, go find me on social. Like I love connecting with people and helping them, supporting them in their brands, because ultimately your brand gets to be the fullest, most authentic expression of yourself. And so a lot of finding your brand is coming back home to yourself, coming back home to the brand that feels like this is who I am. This is who I desire to be. This is the impact that I want to create. It's very deeply rooted into who you are. And I love that self-discovery process for people who want to be the face of their brand, right? That we're not talking like faceless. We're not talking about, like, oh, big corporation, like that kind of thing. But those entrepreneurs who are like, I want to create a personal brand that is rooted into this mission that I have, the transformation that I want to offer. I absolutely love supporting men and women along that journey. And like, if I could leave you with one thing today, it would honestly be that my hope for you is that you tap into those brand roots, you find the strategies, the people, the clients that are in alignment with you, and that you stop dimming your light and muting your own microphone. And through the combination of all of these three things, it allows you to show up in the most unbound, unconstrained, like I said, like the most unbound way.
Yeah.
It allows you to be truly who you are, why you are, how you are, and to change lives and create massive income and impact as an extension of that most authentic self.
And I know we're wrapping up, but this just hit me that like I felt like I needed to say this, because creating your own personal brand, whether you're a network marketer, whether you're creating a SaaS company, whether you're running a brick and mortar, it doesn't matter. You need to have your personal brand separate than your company, because if one day you want to sell your company, if you are your personal brand, guess what? No one's buying. That is not a sellable asset. Mm-hmm. Same thing with the coaching, like coaching and branding. Like if it's you, that's your brand. And you need to make sure that you have that built up so that it could sustain. Maybe it's the next venture, but you want to sell this project, this company. You did the thing, you built it. That's an asset you can sell. Mm-hmm. If it is all wrapped up versus having your actual personal brand being defined, mm-hmm. and having that be its own entity, mm-hmm. anything you do, you're not going to be able to get to a point that you can fully step away from it. Now, that's not to say that's really where a lot of people get to start their business, but I've been through a bunch of trainings as of late that, once you start scaling and you get yourself to a certain point, depending upon what you're building, it's a very high dollar asset.
Very much so. And that's where, the different spaces of personal branding versus corporate branding there's a lot of the same underlying elements, but it's at different levels, because your corporate branding has got to be representative of the company, not necessarily the solopreneur. And so where Carissa and I work a lot is with that personal branding side, right? The solopreneur, small team supporting the face of the company versus the large, SaaS agency, for example. Now there's still elements of so much of branding, but it's going to be from a slightly different perspective, exactly like you said, because it's not going to be, the personal values and beliefs and story and experiences of this one individual person. It becomes more of the company's brand and how people experience the company's values and beliefs and what they stand for and why the company was created and things like that. So it becomes more of a group dynamic of what the company, the leaders, the deliverables, like what does that stand for versus what does the individual solopreneur stand for. And while there's a lot of overlap, I love that you pointed out they are distinctly different.
And that's where a lot of people can get confused or overwhelmed. I know that's definitely a spot that used to overwhelm the heck out of me, because I was like, I didn't separate myself. And so it really messed me up, like in my first network marketing. And I was like, well, it's me, but no, it's my team, but it's me, but it's my team. Mm-hmm. So, taking the time to really get that defined for yourself, because, at least I found this in my experience. Like, I've met so many network marketers that started there, but then it evolved into so many different things. And if their first brand was so tied into their company, it makes it harder for them to like bring that brand and evolve.
Well, that's exactly it, is that especially in the network marketing space, and yours truly, like I started there too. If you've done this, like you are so not alone. A lot of us don't build a personal brand because we attach ourselves onto the company that we have affiliated for. I'm a rep for such and such, affiliate offer or digital marketing or this course or this platform or this, MLM. And so we become the doTERRA girl or the water wellness girl with Enagic or the, protein girl, like whatever, right? We become the Mary Kay lipstick girl, right? Whatever the thing is. So what's happened there, it's not necessarily that your brand can't come with you. It's that a personal brand wasn't established, because we just kind of, latched on to the company brand and we associated our identity with being a representative of that particular affiliate marketing offer. And so the first step in, and why this is so powerful, if you look at like leaders who are able to move from one company to the other, is that when you're building a personal brand, you can add and remove offers more or less at any point. Now, I'm not saying that you should shiny object to 15,000 things. Like you're going to have some issues with trust with your audience. And also, when you have built a brand, what you lead with is the transformation that you offer. The offers just become tools in your tool belt. At any point, you could decide, actually, I don't really need a hammer. I need a screwdriver because we're doing more precision work. Amazing. You can swap that out. Your transformation stays the same, which is what allows, especially in the network and affiliate marketing space, so much flexibility in being able to add new things that are in alignment and remove things that are no longer in alignment. And we decide this based on what does our brand stand for. That's how you know what the right opportunities are. Like it all leads back to branding. But ultimately, when you build a personal brand, you can add things and remove things without it changing very much at all about your personal brand, because your brand isn't built on the offers. Your offers are an extension of your brand. So they can change without the core message changing.
That's so good. That's so good. All right, folks, that's it for today. I mean, this was McKenna, I always love nerding out with you. There's always really great ways of how you see things and then how you communicate them. I mean, shocker, you're a brand specialist. That totally tracks, which, it's the same thing like my bestie, she's great in comms, and it's this constant joke that, it's the orange cat and the black cat combo where like got all the words and I'm like, yeah, I'm here. Hi guys. Make sure you can connect with McKenna. She is amazing. She's a absolute phenomenal asset. I put her link where you can connect with her in the description and in the comments. Or you can also just come check out the Nerdly community and track her down. She's awesome.
Absolutely. I'm so excited to connect with you. Colleen, thank you so much. For anyone who has any questions on the brand identity and messaging side of things, I can't wait to connect with you outside of this stream.
All right. Later, nerds.